This is another game I'm playing. It's a modification, a mod called Little Maids Mod. I haven't found any maids yet. Been having a hard enough time finding chickens for eggs and cows for milk. But I'm in a snowy biome. Biomes are environments, and it's pretty cold. And there's these big tall trees. So I thought I would make a tree house, big tall spruce trees, and just stack my rooms on top of each other. This is jungle wood. I went all the way to the jungle, collected some wood. In the background there, you see cocoa beans that only grow on jungle wood. This is the default texture pack in Minecraft. You see all the highlights on the windows. It's a very cluttered texture pack. You could install other texture packs. Paper Cut is wonderful. It's a lot brighter than the default Minecraft texture pack, for one thing, and it's much more simple. There's not as much ornate detailing on the blocks, and they're much easier to see. And look at the glass. Transparent. So, in certain circumstances, I will use this texture pack, and dark places is one of them. And as you see, it snows here a lot, and it's frequently dark, even during the daytime. Makes it a little difficult to see. That's my ladders going up the jungle vines. That's a little baby jungle tree I'm going to grow in my greenhouse. I look out over a vast desert. These little bright green ones are sugar canes. I'm going to need a lot of those because little maids eat cake and sugar, so I need lots of that. There's a big deal going off to find chickens and cows so I can make cakes for my little maids. I haven't found any little maids yet, though. Sugarcane has to grow right by water, so I installed trenches all the way around. Glass skylights so that any sunlight goes through all three levels. This is my bedroom, crafting table buried in the floor, chests buried in the floor on both sides, and my bed. If you use your crafting table and chest as part of your flooring, and a furnace too if you need one, it takes up less room in the room, and you don't need as much space. So this is my little tree house. There's no right or trapdoor because creepers, even though I have monsters off, creepers can climb ladders. So trapdoors keep them out. I don't like regular doors because zombies can break them down. So, and I can't figure out how to use iron doors. I can't see well enough to press the button and make it through the door in time. So in an emergency, I would be dead. This is wheat. In this texture pack, it's bright yellow. I think a lot of people have problems with the default wheat because it stays pretty green with brown tips, and it's hard to tell whether it's ripe or not. This is easy to see, and it makes big clusters of seeds in your inventory. The seeds in the default one are tiny little black dots. They're almost impossible to see. These seeds show up as bright green clumps. So creepers can't get in, even though the monsters are off. When I do decide to turn the monsters on, creepers won't be able to get in, zombies won't be able to take doors down. This is my pasture. I painted the sheep, dyed the sheep red myself. You take roses, you see there's little flowers growing in the grass. Well, there are red ones too. You take roses, you grind them up in your inventory, it makes dye. You tap the sheep with it with your right mouse button. I'm shearing the sheep right now. You see I've got a scissors in my hands. Tap them with the right mouse button, and it takes the wool off, and you get nice flocks of wool. So you dye the sheep with the dye. There's all kinds of colors. I just made red ones. But then I bred a red one with a white one, and look, I got pink sheep. Didn't used to work that way. You either got a red sheep or a white sheep, and if you wanted a pink sheep, then you had to mix roses with bone meal to make a pink dye. But now, once in a while, well, twice in a while, I get pink sheep just from breeding red with white. Start with the red, then with the white. The color that you want to dominate should be the first color you click on. And I'll show you breeding them in a minute. So this is my little pasture in the forest. I cut all the tiny trees down that mobs could spawn under, and I kept the big, tall timbers around my house, not in the whole forest. There's a block of pink wool. And blocks will, when you break them, won't necessarily come to you. They may go away from you, which means they may fall in lava. They might fall off the edge of a steep cliff. And if you go after them, you could get burned alive or, well, break your neck falling down too steep a ravine. Cows are wonderful for milk, which works in recipes and is also an antidote for a kind of venom. Some of my sheep got out because they didn't make the fence right the first time. So they've kind of been hanging around. See, it's nighttime. If I had the monsters on, it would be dangerous for me to go out there and gather my sheep. I haven't seen them all day. They only came out when the sun started going down because the game does sneaky little things to get you killed. And one of the things it does is it uses your own animals against you. The animals are coming out now because normally out here, even though it's sandy and there's a little bit of light, the monsters would be all over this sand. So I would pretty much be dead now because I can either hold the wheat to attract the sheep. Sheep and cows will follow wheat because that's what used to breed them with. There's my house, my tree house of stacked stuff. Um, so they will follow if you're holding wheat, but you can't hold wheat and a sword at the same time. So if a monster came up, I'd have to switch to my sword. I forgot to mention that the tools you see there are the hot bar. It's the lower row of my inventory. It's kind of like your toolbox. Use your mouse rolly thing to scroll from one to the other. Right now I'm trying to breed cattle, but I accidentally buried a cow and a sheep, and that won't work. Uh, so let's see. That's a natural gray sheep. It came that way. There's a red sheep and a white sheep. And this time I think they made a red baby. It's so crowded you couldn't see them right away. And I forgot to close the gate. So you tap on them, right click on your animals with wheat. It only works now on cows and sheep. It used to work on all animals, and boy was that a mess. You'd have pigs and cows and chickens and sheep crowding all over you, all wanting to get some wheat so that they can make puppies. So I'm getting blocks of red wool. Baby sheep you can't shear, but aren't they cute? Because, well, they need time to grow up. All sheep look white speckled when you shear them, no matter what color they were before. And it's very confusing because you don't know which sheep is which. So you have to wait for their wool to grow back before you can breed them again, unless you just don't care. I like using colored wool because it's so highly visible at night. Plus, it's just neat looking. People use it in art projects too a lot. It's one of the little flowers that I could left click on stuff that you want to break, or destroy, uh, or hit. Right click on things that you want to change, like shearing the sheep. See, the chickens like the seeds. So now we will breed some chickens by right clicking on them with seeds of the wheat. And in between them there's a little baby chicken came out. They also, you can, when they lay eggs, you can gather the eggs and throw them against something solid, and it will, sometimes a baby chicken will come out of the egg when it cracks. The little green ball that you saw when the chicken came out, that's an experience point. You see the little, underneath my health and my food, there's a little bar with green stuff and a number. That's experience points. I get those for mining coal and for harvesting some crops. I get them for, unfortunately, killing animals. Uh, and for killing monsters. And there's all kinds of ways you can get experience points. And later you can trade them in for enchantments and magic stuff and repairing your tools and so on. I got real lucky there. That sheep ate grass while I was shearing it. When a sheep eats grass, its wool comes back. Oops, one wool went over the fence. Oh well. So that's how you get it back. Here's the texture pack I used, paper cutouts. And this is one that I don't do this stuff very much. I'm just always looking for stuff that's really easy to see. This one you can customize piece by piece. You can customize the mobs, the tools, the skins on animals, the terrain, just about everything in the game. You can decide how you want it to look. And I went through each piece one by one and decided how I wanted it to look so it would be easy to see. For me, usually, in some cases not, but usually, the less clutter on an object, the easier it is for me to see it and to understand it. And also, the easier it is for me to see where the crosshair is. If there's a lot of white patterning on an object, I can't see the crosshair. And of course, most of the time, you need to point right at things. See how you can customize the inventories and so on so they're easier for you to see what's inside of them. That's a big bonus to me because those itsy bitsy little icons are really not fun to try to see. I'm going to try to remember to link the texture pack. There's hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of texture packs for all kinds of applications. The jack-o'-lantern, default jack-o'-lantern when you put it on your head is fuzzy and it really restricts your field of view. But the jack-o'-lantern that this guy offers doesn't have any fuzziness around it, so your view out the jack-o'-lantern is very clear. You put jack-o'-lanterns on your head when you're in a place where there's lots of Endermen, so the Endermen don't know if you looked at them or not. Because if you look at an Enderman, they will attack you. And sometimes, if you're not expecting it, they can kill you. See how easy it is to see the different kinds of ores? The default texture pack, the colors are very muted. It's hard sometimes in a dark cave to tell that something is iron ore. Sometimes it's even hard to tell what's coal. It's hard to tell iron from gold. These textures are easy to see.